Hey, dreamers, and welcome to Dreamers Unite, the talk show for dreamers. I am your host, Sherri Pullum, and I am always just honored and grateful every time you come to spend time with me. And if you are on this channel for the first time, well, go ahead and hit subscribe. And if you have been on this channel many times and have not yet subscribed, I'm going to say, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that blue bell for more uplifting, entertaining, elevational, and inspirational content. Well, today I am just overjoyed to bring you this filmmaker. She is phenomenal. Her name is Luchina Fisher. Let me tell you more about this bright light. Luchina Fisher is an award-winning writer, director, and producer. Her film Mama Gloria is her featured directorial debut about Gloria Allen, a trailblazing 74-year-old Black transgender activist who started a charm school for homeless transgens youth and is now aging with joy and grace. She has written and produced 3 nationally broadcast documentaries on Gladys Knight, B.B. King, and the history of Title IX, as well as numerous segments for television. Her work has appeared on Discovery Health, A&E, ESPN, National Geographic Channel, ABC, and is in syndication. As an accomplished artivist, Luchina's amazing films are a reflection of a wide range of issues that continue to impact the world today. This is a superstar in my mind, and you will see it for yourself as I bring on Luchina Fisher. Luchina, welcome to Dreamers Unite.
Thank you. I'm so delighted to be here.
I'm delighted to have you. Yeah.
Thank you. I
So
love your show. I love the idea of a place for dreamers because I am one of them.
I am so glad you acknowledge it and see it. I think sometimes I just had this conversation with another guest. I think sometimes people don't understand that everyone is a dreamer. We all are. There's nothing in this world that you can physically put your hands on that didn't start from a dream. There's my little merch. There's a dream. I just
Ooh,
right there. But everything, this computer we're on, I mean, just everything is a dream. So
absolutely.
it's important to dream and then to turn those dreams into a reality. That's what we're about here at Dreamers Unite, is unpacking how do we do that. And the way we do it is we learn from others because success leaves clues. So I know that Luchina, you are going to be dropping so much hints for us. I call them nuggets that I'll be gathering from you, as many as I can, dreamers, as I usually do, and I will be sharing them with you. So Luchina, let's start with your background. Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Right. So, as a filmmaker, I started, I would say, as a dreamer, as somebody who sat in a dark room as a film screened in front of me on the projector screen, and I began to dream of stories that I would tell one day that would be on the screen. And I remember that from, the youngest age, and also just watching things on television, and I would watch them multiple times. And my brother used to joke, it was really, I'd watch for the picture, and then I'd watch for the dialogue, and then I'd watch for how it was put together. Um, but I was learning, and I was picking up these things, and I knew that one day I would be able to tell stories in the same way. Um, but of course, I believe, always starts with the word. And I saw things also I saw them visually, but I also saw them on the page. And as a writer, I would write in school. I was writing for my school newspaper. I had an opportunity to do a talk show, so I was
Mm.
speaking the words on camera. I thought at one point I wanted to be the next Barbara Walters, and then Oprah came along, and I was like, oh, well, she's doing it. Maybe I want to be the next Oprah. But then I was like, you know what? What is it I can do? What is it I can bring? And in college, I studied journalism. I think I also, in addition to being a dreamer, I had a very practical side. And I was like, how am I going to make money? And I understood that journalism was a job that you could do. A writer seemed sort of far fetched. A filmmaker, in some ways, seemed kind of far um, out of reach as well. But a journalist seemed very practical. It seemed like something I could do. So I studied journalism in college and started out in newspaper. But still these dreams persisted, and I had an opportunity to study film and television in England
Wow.
about 2 years after I started working as a journalist. And I took the opportunity, I got a Rotary scholarship and went abroad and spent the year just making films, learning how to make films and directing. And it was the moment I directed that I was terrified, number one.
That's
And
always a good sign you're where you should be.
it is so true. It is so true. It really scared me. And so did all the people who were depending on me to tell them what to do. And I remember that first project I directed, I was terrible. And they ran right over me. And so by the end of the program, I had another opportunity to direct. And it was a script that I had written for a 1-minute spot for the UK's Kodak commercial competition. And we were shooting it on 16 millimeter film. So I knew I only had a limited amount of film. I had to get it right. And I came out strong. I said to everybody, I am the director. Um, I am the one who's speaking with the actors. I will be speaking with the crew. If any of you have something to say to me, come to me on the side. You can tell me, but ultimately, I make the final decision. I'm the one who's in charge. And that shoot went marvelously. We had a child who was 4 years old. We had a dog in the shoot, and they always tell you in Hollywood, don't work with children or dogs, or animals in the same shoot. But I did it, and it came out so well, and we ended up winning an award. We got second prize out of the whole UK for this commercial competition. And it was then that I knew, like, okay, I actually have something to say, that I have some good ideas and I can do this. And that was, the moment that I was really just smitten with directing
Mm.
um, and filmmaking.
And I love the fact that you grew while you were doing it, right? Your confidence seemed to soar. So when you did you had your first opportunity to direct, right? When you were more tentative, you were like, I was a mess. And so, how did you make that shift to feeling more insecure to suddenly owning it? Let's help our dreamers understand that.
I think for me, it was about trusting in what I had to say. I think the fact that it was my own script, and it was actually a script that I sort of drew from my own life. Yes, it was a commercial. It was actually a commercial about a cereal that I used to love in England, and it was called Jordan's Original Toasted Crunchy Oats Cereal. It had a very long name. And it was an oat-based cereal. And as a kid, my parents gave us so much oatmeal and cream of wheat and farina and grits that, I just got sick of it, and at one point I do remember kind of secreting away the oatmeal in a napkin perhaps and tossing it in the toilet.
You did better than I did. I fed the stuff that my parents, I had a soft boiled egg every morning. Okay. And after a while I was feeding it to our dog. Okay. That's, so you did better, like just casually folding it. Yeah.
Exactly. So that was where I drew the inspiration for the spot, was that childhood urge to sort of get rid of something you don't like that you have to eat. And actually, yes, we wrote a dog into the script. She does feed the oatmeal to the dog at one point. And then at the end of the spot, this gorgeous, glamorous, successful Black woman is sitting at her kitchen table in this, fabulous kitchen. And she pulls the cereal to her, and she's on the phone with her mom. And she's like, "Yes, Mom, I am eating my oats." And it's, of course, the Jordan cereal. And I remember the head of the program, he was a white man actually raised in South Africa, but English. And he was like, "Oh, I don't think you can have a commercial with a toilet in it. Like, that's just disgusting." And he really didn't have very positive things to say about my idea, but everybody else on the course had chosen it. I was the only American. So I was also coming not just with a Black female perspective of my own childhood experience, but also an American perspective. And so I really had to trust that what I had to say was valuable and interesting. And because it was my own experience, I had confidence in that. And so when I made the film, and the final film screened, and we had put together a beautiful jingle that some women on the course had sung. Another woman had written the jingle. I mean, we just had all this really wonderful outpouring of people just helping to make it become what it did. And when it finally screened on a big screen, my professor, he turned to me and he said, "Luchina, you have made a film. You are a filmmaker." And I was just like, wow, like, I can't believe he's saying that. But it didn't matter at that point because I felt good about it. It was the film that I wanted to see. And so for me, that has become sort of the guiding principle in my work, is to find the truth of the experience in whatever I'm telling. That I have to know how to bring myself and my experience to the project, and to know that it wouldn't be the same without me, without my voice and my experience, that's what is being called for. And so just trusting that allows me to be in the moment with the process, and do what it takes to tell the story. And if that means, contradicting somebody on the crew who thinks they have a better idea, or being open to hearing that because, I don't have all the answers. But ultimately trusting that, I'll hear all of these things, but I will make the choice because I'm the one who's being called to tell this story.
I think really what you're saying is when you're authentic and you're being true to yourself, then other people see it.
Yes.
And I love what you said, like, that's the story I wanted to tell. I am going to own this, fully own it. I'm going to grab that nugget from you right now, Luchina. Look, dreamers, own your story. That means owning your life. You are the one to write your story. You are the one to make the decisions for what you are passionate about or what you do and you don't want to do. And good, bad, or indifferent, just own it. Ooh, I'm grabbing that from Luchina. Boom. That's to you, dreamers. I shared with you I have this new television series that we're in the midst of pitching, Cherry Red Sweet Escape, and it isn't easy. So, what kind of offering can you give for filmmakers or even in the television industry who are newcomers?
Mm, absolutely. I mean, it is not an easy journey. Um, so first of all, you have to love it. You have to have passion for your project because that passion is going to carry you through what will always be uh, struggles. That you're always going to hit obstacles. And just expect that. Don't expect that it's going to be easy. Expect
Mm-hmm.
that it is going to be difficult. And it's going to take you feeling, no matter what, that you are so passionate about telling this story that you're going to do whatever it takes to tell it. I have now crowdfunded 3 films.
Mm.
Um, and I think each one I was like, I think the first time, of course, I was like, okay, let's do this. I don't know how it's going to go. And it was like fabulous. I mean, we didn't even use a crowdfunding platform. We simply set up a Facebook page and a PayPal account and said, um, I'm making this short film, again, about something from my own life, drawn from my own life. And right away, people were like, absolutely, we'll give you money for that because we believe in you, Luchina. We believe in your power of storytelling. And and so the first thing I did was, give myself the green light. I didn't wait on Hollywood to give me a green light. I went out and fundraised and got the money to make the film. I enlisted friends and other people I knew who had a similar dream to make a film, who maybe had not had the experience, but um, had other experience and gifts that they could bring to the process. And so that first short film that I made, I want to say it was in 2011. And we took it to festivals. We actually won an award.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and as soon as that film was out, my best friend, who's now a screenwriter in Hollywood, and she's written several novels, Tanana Reeve, she's written, yes, several fabulous horror, Afrofuturism, speculative fiction is her bag, is her thing. And she's like, Luchina, I just watched you do it. And I have been, she's had so many of her books optioned in Hollywood, but they've sat in development hell, and
Mhm.
they hold on to the book, and tie it up, and she can't do anything with it. And then nothing ever comes of it. And so she was just sick and tired of that. And finally she said, you just went and made a film. Like, what if my husband and I, her husband, Stephen Barnes, also fabulous writer, author, and screenwriter. He's got some credits in Hollywood, or did before they started working together. And they put together a script based on one of Tananari's short stories, and that became Danger Word. And we also crowdfunded that short film, which starred Frankie Faison, who's over there in Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and another young lady, Saoirse Scott, who is also in New Jersey, who used to be on One Life to Live, and had, not acted in a while since, her very young childhood days. And we filmed that in a weekend up in the Catskills, and that too went to festivals and was nominated for Best Short and appeared on television. And that sort of gave me momentum to think, oh, okay, I can do a feature now. It is like baby steps, you do have to,
Mhm.
kind of take those steps. But yeah, you start from wherever you are. So if you're a writer or an actress, you lean into what you do best, and then reach out to those people who might, help you, accomplish your goal, who are excited by the idea and want to enlist in it. With my directorial debut, Mama Gloria, um, I thought I guess I was still thinking I might make a short documentary to start, but once we started filming, it became bigger and bigger and bigger, and I realized this really is a feature, and I just have to lean into that and like see where it takes me, and it did just keep growing larger. I, at first just sort of kept it small and tried to just keep control of it and, have a very small team. But as it, got to more people, as I started reaching out to people within the industry, um, that's when it started to grow and take momentum. And now I feel like I'm more a part of the industry that I was once sort of outside of.
You are definitely part of the industry, Luchina Fisher. Let's talk a little bit more about Mama Gloria. I saw the film. It's incredible. The way you told the story. I know Gloria Allen she must be so proud. Um, she should just be proud of herself, number one. And I'm sure she's proud of the work that you did that really represents her life and her activism and her giving of herself. So, speak a little bit about that film, what it's about. How did you come to get involved in the project and end up eventually directing the film?
So it was really about 2 years ago that a very good friend of mine reached out to me out of the blue and said, I found your next project. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. And he sent me an article about Gloria and her charm school. And I was like, what? This is incredible that she started a charm school for trans youth, that she is a trans elder. Um, you don't see many elder transgender people.
Mhm.
It really is a movement right now that is it's most visible really for younger generations. And and then the other thing that struck me from the story that I read about her was that her mother and her grandmother were really supportive of her
Mhm.
when she was a child growing up in the 40s and 50s on the south side of Chicago. And that struck me because I'm also a mother of three children, and one of my children, my daughter, identifies as transgender. And as it turned out, of course, my friend knew this when he reached out to me. But as it turned out, he didn't know my daughter and I were on our way to Chicago, because she's also an advocate for LGBTQ youth. And she was going to be speaking to Fortune 100 companies during Coming Out Day, about, being trans and, who she is as a person, not, what she is, not focusing on that. That's probably the least interesting thing about her. And so the fact that we were on our way to Chicago, where Gloria lives, that she was looking for someone to help her write her memoir. So I knew she wanted to tell her story. And I, was reading this and thinking, has no one done a documentary on her? Because she needs to be seen and heard. And so we met her while we were in Chicago, and it was so clear to me as Gloria just captured the room with
Oh, she does capture a room.
she totally does. And she held court with my daughter and her fellow champions, that were all speaking to these companies. We'd all gathered together, and we spent the day with Gloria. And by the end of that day, it was clear that we were making this film. And I have to say, Gloria really trusted me. And you can see that trust, I think, in the finished film. She opened her life to me. And I think a lot of that has to do with this deeper connection, this personal connection that we both have to her experience. And so the film really is about Gloria's life now. She's 75 now. She's aging with joy and grace. And she's doing that at a time when Black trans women are facing, escalating violence and discrimination and great hardship. And, here is a story of someone who had support growing up. And that support has carried her through her life. And while she did, face violence at some points in her life, she was able to overcome that. And I think as a result, she doesn't take any day for granted. She's living her life fully. She's got more energy than I do, for sure. And is still making plans for the future, for today. She just has a lot to teach all of us about what it means to live fully and with grace.
I think the thing that struck me the most about her, like you said, is the love that surrounded her. And when she wasn't being supported and loved, because it wasn't like that, obviously, throughout her entire journey. For most of us, it isn't, right? But she continued to walk in gratitude, and she continued to serve. She's like, how can I help someone else? And I think that's what's so heartfelt in what you bring out in her story in such a compassionate way. Yeah. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
What is on the horizon for you?
Oh my goodness.
Those things that you can talk about, because I know how it is in film. We can't always talk about all of our projects. So what is on the horizon that you can share with us?
Right. It is so true. I have so many projects that are in development right now. And I find I'm getting emails from out of the blue people who are finding me, who are interested in talking with me about, coming aboard their projects.
And I'm one of those people, by the way, just to let you know. Okay. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
We will talk. We will talk.
Yeah, for me. Yeah.
I know. I mean, I am so excited about this moment in my life. I mean, I'm like, this is what I have been waiting for,
Yeah.
is to really, get that momentum going, where, I can, do one project and go to the next. And some of them are my own projects. Some I would come aboard others. Um, One of the projects that I plan to return to is something that I started 20 years ago, um, about my brother, who was so encouraging of me. He was the oldest in our family. I would say he was really the genius of our family. He was a brilliant artist and
Mm.
writer. And he did not publish any of his writing during his life. But after he passed away from AIDS, at the age of 32, back in 1993, I know, a book of his writing was published. And it was his journals, his short stories. This book is still being found and read by Black gay men today. And in intellectual circles, Jeremy O. Harris, the producer and writer of Slave Play, which was on Broadway, and he's now out in Hollywood making movies. He was so inspired by my brother's writing that he wrote a show in which he played a character named after my brother.
Wow.
And yeah, and so I had started making this documentary after my brother said to me, um, you know, I'm Black, I'm gay, I have AIDS, and this is in the early 90s. We weren't seeing Black faces of AIDS. We're not hearing about its great impact on our community. We're still not hearing about it.
Well, we've certainly
It's
stopped talking about it, really, right?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, but it still is disproportionately impacting our Black community,
Mhm.
to the point where people in our community are still dying from AIDS, even though there is treatments in which that doesn't have to happen anymore. It
That's
does not have to be a death sentence.
that's
But
right.
my brother, he understood way back then that um, these different identities that we have, they actually put us at greater risk, exponentially greater risk,
Mhm.
and also make it harder for us to access the treatments and talk about, get past the stigma. So like 20 years ago, I filmed maybe 30 hours of footage or more, that, I just over time kind of put to the side to uh, do other things in life, raise my family, work for a living, had to, earn a living. But I am returning to that project because I realize like how absolutely current it still is. That, especially as we're facing this latest pandemic,
Yes.
um, I think, many of those lessons that we learned or didn't learn during the HIV crisis are still very relevant, particularly in the Black community.
Mhm.
Um, so so that is just one of the projects that is on my slate.
That's
Um,
exciting.
I know, but I'm still very interested in scripted work and narrative. And so I have some narrative projects also that I'm working on, that I'm collaborating with folks on. But yeah, I feel the things that really attract me are certainly stories of race, of identity, of loss and resilience.
Mm.
And that is what I do find in common with all of the various projects that are finding their way to me.
Um, I'm going to ask you to complete a sentence. Before I leave this planet, I want to
Win an Oscar.
I love it. Okay, Oscar, there's a dream we're going to affirm with you.
Absolutely.
And for what type of work?
Mm. Directing. Yeah, I'd love to win an Oscar for directing. Um, I I remember watching the Oscars as a young child. My mother actually would let me stay up on a school night to watch the whole thing. I think she knew how important that was to me, and which I think is pretty extraordinary. But yeah, I'm that kid who rehearsed her Oscar speech in the bathroom
I
mirror.
Okay, all I want you to do, Luchina, okay, don't act like you don't know me when you get the Oscar, okay? And I call and say, you know what, Luchina, on Dreamers Unite, we affirmed, and we were all here, a community dreaming with you, Luchina, in your corner. Now you're gonna come back and tell us how you did it. So, dreamers, heard it here first. Oscar, directing Oscar for Luchina Fisher. She's already gotten her speech worked out. So we're going to be waiting, and I look forward to just a little shout out. Dreamers Unite, thank you so much.
I said it there first.
You said it
I spoke
here
it.
first. That's right, on Dreamers Unite. Luchina, it has been my privilege and honor to be able to learn from you, to learn a little bit more about your journey. I'm grateful that I had an opportunity to catch some nuggets and share those with our dreamers. And I am going to look forward to ongoing conversation and more of your storytelling, your brilliant storytelling. But I wish you all the success in the world. Thank you so much again.
Thank you. This has been a joy and just pleasure. I've really enjoyed this.
Thank you so much. Well, dreamers, if you have not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as I said, for more uplifting, motivational, and inspirational content. And I will see you again next time on Dreamers Unite.